Hi, I'm Adora, a content designer here at KiwiCo, and today we're building the KiwiCo Flipbook animation. Are you ready to get flippin'? Part A, make the stand. First, face the wires of your motor upwards and push your motor into this slot on the electronics mount. Hold the mount slightly above your work surface and push hard. When the motor clicks in, the shaft should poke through this hole on the other side. All right, let's stop and check. Check that the motor is inserted correctly. The wires should face up, the shaft should be centered in this hole, and the tab should go through this gap at the bottom. Next, flip the mount over and fit the motor cap onto the shaft. The cap can face any direction. Then, drop the metal screw into this tube and twist it in tightly with your screwdriver. There will be a small gap between the cap and the mount. Flip the mount back over. Now, grab the potentiometer and place it in this slot. The wire should face this way. Next, twist the nut on the potentiometer's shaft. Then, use their matching shapes to push the knob onto the shaft. There will be a small gap between the knob and the mount. Okay, get the battery pack. Pull out this tab and place it in this slot of the electronic mount. The wire should face this way and the battery should be switched off. Now take the circuit board and the motor's wires. Connect the blue and brown wire to this port on the board. Next, take the red and black wires from the battery and click them into this port on the circuit board. Then, connect the gray, white, yellow, green, and orange wires from the potentiometer to this port. All right, before moving on, test out the circuit. Switch on the battery and turn the knob. This turns the motor. If it doesn't, check that the knob turns all the way in both directions, the tab was removed from the battery pack, and the wires are all connected. Before you continue building, remember, turn the battery pack back off. Okay, tuck the circuit board and the wires inside the mount using this gap to thread the motor's wires. Now grab this wooden stand piece and place it over the mount. The square hole should be here, and the KiwiCo logo should face up. Next, stand up the mount, push the clear rod through the hole, and twist in a screw. Then, repeat to add 2 blue rods here and here. Now, grab this wood stand piece and push it onto the rods with the blue side facing in. All right, turn the build and twist the screws into each of these holes. Yay! You made the stand. Part B, add the reel. Okay, get the reel barrel and reel rods. With the barrel square facing this way, slide the rods onto the barrel. Next, pick either set of animation pages. We'll be using the space theme set. So, starting with the page marked 1, fold the pictures inward like this. Repeat this for all the pages. It's important to also make sure to keep them in order. Now slide page 1, arrow first, under a reel rod like this. Then push it all the way in. Then add page 2 behind page 1. Keep sliding on the pages in order until they've all been added. All right, time for another stop and check. Check that the pages are added correctly by rotating the reel toward yourself. If the animation is going in reverse or seems out of order, gently pull out the pages, then repeat part B, steps 3 through 6. Okay, grab the O-ring and stretch it around the end of the reel. Tuck it under the rod's teeth. Next, bring back the stand from part A and click the reel onto the yellow cap between the stand. With the square hole facing this way. Then, while holding the base on its side, push the wheel into the square hole until you hear a click. Now turn the wheel towards you and watch the pages come to life. You can change the speed of the animation by turning faster or slower. To top it all off, you can automate the animation by turning on the battery and just using the knob to adjust the speed. Awesome! You made a flipbook. Part C, change the reel. When you want to try out the other set of animation pages, start by taking out the wheel and removing the reel. Next, take off the O-ring. Then, slide every page out of the reel by lifting and pulling on the pages. Now, switch to the other set and repeat part B, steps 3 through 7, to add it on the reel. After all the new pages are added, click the reel back in between the stand. Then, reinsert the wheel and you can start running the animation again. Nice, you changed the reel. Alright, if you run into any trouble while using your flipbook, don't worry, I've got some tips to help. If the flipbook doesn't spin when you turn the knob, first make sure the battery pack is turned on. Then try turning the knob in both directions. Also, check that the tab was removed from the battery pack. And check that the battery and motor are both connected to the circuit board. If the speed doesn't change when you turn the knob, check that the potentiometer is connected to the circuit board. If the animation moves in reverse, check that page 2 is behind page 1, page 3 behind page 2, and so on. Now, there's even more cool ways to play with your flipbook. You can change the speed to watch how frame rate affects animation, like this. One more idea is you can use index cards from home to add your own images and make a personalized display. And another idea is turning your Flipbook machine into an answering machine by adding cards with random phrases. So there is some really cool science behind your Flipbook. When you see a series of images moving at the right speed, something amazing happens. They stop sitting still and start moving. Movies, video games, and cartoons all use this trick. They show a sequence of images really fast. The images are called frames, and every frame is a snapshot from an action, like a rocket flying, for example. Seen really quick, all the images blend together into lifelike motion. The speed that these frames flash past your eyes is called the frame rate, and you have to have the right frame rate to make the rocket actually look like it's flying. Too slow, and the images just look like panels in a comic book. At about 10 frames per second, you start to see movement, but it's a bit choppy. To smooth things out, ramp up to 50 and 60 frames per second. You'll stop noticing individual images and see what looks like continuous, real motion. At that rate, you can sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Thanks so much for building with us today. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, be sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Also, check that page 1 is in front of page 2. I think that's flipped around, isn't page? You can change the speed to see how speed affects. And form a continuous, so close. At about 10 frames per second, you start to notice. At that rate, you can sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Sorry.